Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Hi, I'm Sarah. I need to let you know what I have been going through. It's been a nightmare. In the quiet solitude of my home, I stumbled upon a peculiar TikTok account named Always Watching Jason. Intriguingly, this name gripped me instantly due to its uncanny resemblance to my late husband's name. I felt an eerie connection, something beyond familiarity. I was not prepared for what I was about to witness. The unique content on this account was beyond bizarre. It was hauntingly intimate. The short clips were not just random, but direct echoes from our shared past. They were a collection of distinct memories that only Jason and I would have known. The obscure melody of our song, a song that we danced to countless times. A line from our favorite movie that we used to quote in our daily conversations. Then came the more intricate details, like the lingering scent of his distinctive cologne that instantly took me back to his warm embrace. Each snippet seemed intentional, like a piece of a puzzle that was recreating our story. Suddenly, it was as though the universe was conspiring to connect us again, weaving an elaborate cosmic joke that was both bewildering and heartbreaking. This digital medium was becoming a portal, a bridge between us and the beyond. Is it possible? Could this really be Jason sending me messages through the digital realm? In the realm of logic and reality, it seemed impossible. But there was something undeniable about what was unfolding before my eyes. It was a desperate attempt to connect, to reach out, to say something from the other side. It was as if Jason was reaching out from the beyond, his spectral hand outstretched in a desperate attempt to connect. But this account didn't merely reflect my past, it eerily portrayed my present. It shone, mirroring my every habit with a precision that was both uncanny and unsettling. From my morning rituals fueled by the sweet allure of caffeine to the details of the latest literary odyssey I was consumed by, nothing escaped its watchful eye. It noted even the smallest shifts in my lifestyle, such as the recent switch to a new brand of shampoo, a change so subtle that it had gone unnoticed by everyone else. The account seemed to have a life of its own, observing, analyzing, and dissecting my existence with a degree of awareness that was almost disturbing. It was like a digital prophet, extremely knowledgeable about the most private aspects of my life. It had an almost supernatural ability to anticipate my actions, turning them into video content that was chillingly accurate. The precision was so striking that it couldn't have been a mere coincidence. It was as though the account was living my life, capturing and mirroring my choices, my quirks, my idiosyncrasies, and presenting them in a content form that was startlingly familiar. The videos were not just replicas of my life, they were my life, crafted with an eeriness that made my skin crawl. They were alarmingly familiar. Hey, subscribe quickly. While I carry on my creepy tale, we need to stay connected. Panic gripped my heart as I ventured deeper into the intricate maze of this digital world. Every click I made, every corner I turned, revealed a chilling connection to my late husband, Jason. It felt as though his digital footsteps were imprinted in this virtual labyrinth, echoing in the hollow silence. His presence, so tangible and omnipresent, was like a constant whisper in my ear, a phantom reminder of his existence. As I delved deeper, the labyrinth seemed to tighten its grip. Each revelation, each fragment of his digital life was intertwined with mine, an intricate tapestry that was becoming more and more ensnaring. His messages, once filled with warmth and affection, now echoed with an eerie undertone. Each video, each comment, seemed to hold a deeply buried secret, a menacing riddle waiting to be deciphered. It was as though his digital persona had taken a life of its own, a ghost in the machine, twirling in the dance of the dead. His words, once a balm, were now drenched in a sinister intent that was frighteningly palpable. Immersed in this chilling digital maze, a shiver of pure terror ran down my spine, a sense of dread that seemed to seep into the very marrow of my bones. A chilling wave of terror washed over me, threatening to drown me in its icy grasp. It felt as if Jason's spirit didn't intend to comfort me, but to drag me into the darkness with him. As the unsettling reality sank in, I realized I wasn't alone. An unseen entity, persistently present and eerily observing, followed my every move. It wasn't a figment of my imagination, but a ghostly manifestation that haunted my existence. This marked the incipience of an unforeseen journey that was waiting at my threshold, a journey intertwining the realms of the living and the deceased. It was a chilling experience, like standing at the precipice of a fathomless abyss, staring into the unknown. With the unfolding of each day, the content available online began veiling itself in ever-deepening shades of obscurity. The spirit that once brought solace through the form of a widowed woman's late husband on the popular social media platform TikTok began to shift. Messages that once resonated warmth and nostalgia turned into harrowing threats, sending shivers down my spine. The videos, which earlier brought comfort and companionship, slowly transformed into an ominous shadow of their previous selves, casting an impending sense of doom. A once cordial spirit had now morphed into a sinister presence, its chilling transformation signaling the start of an eerie tale. The previously soothing spirit of her departed husband on TikTok morphed into something entirely foreboding. Haunted by the cryptic messages, I felt compelled to delve deeper, to decipher the enigma entwined with the account. The videos were hauntingly consistent, reflecting the similar timing of Jason's previous communications. Every film was shot in places marked by our shared past, reviving memories buried in the recesses of my mind. The settings were familiar, each location an echo of our life together, a symbol of our bond. The park where we'd first met, the cafe where we'd shared countless coffee dates, the library where we'd studied together in silence. Each video was a haunting reminder of our shared history. The captions in the videos seemed to bear a familiar style, the distinct curve and flair in the letters, strikingly similar to Jason's handwriting. The revelations were softly threaded, each clue guiding me nearer to a terrifying conjecture. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, forming a picture that was as chilling as it was intriguing. I found myself drawn into a web of subtle hints and cryptic clues, each one pushing me closer to a revelation that was as fascinating as it was eerie. There was an uncanny pattern to the timing of the videos, their release coinciding eerily with the dates and times of Jason's old calls. They seemed to be not just random videos, but carefully crafted messages meant to convey something. Each video was a piece in an intricate puzzle, each clue a breadcrumb leading me down a path of realization. The prospect was spine-chillingly captivating. Was it conceivable that these hints were alluding to an unthinkable reality? Could it possibly be that Jason was trying to reach out from beyond the grave? As I delved deeper, the truth revealed itself, more alarming than I could have ever foreseen. The always-watching Jason TikTok account was more than a mysterious entity on the web. Rather, it was an eerie remnant of my deceased husband, Jason. Jason, before his untimely demise, had unearthed a baffling digital phenomenon, an uncharted route within the cyberspace of TikTok. This advanced route provided him the unique opportunity to maintain a connection between two contrasting realms, the living and the departed. It was a virtual lifeline, a tether to the world he was forcefully bidden goodbye. This innovation in technology, a peculiar secret passage, opened a door for him to continue his existence in a different dimension. It was his line of communication, his only means to reach out to the people he loved, the world he was untimely expelled from. His digital shadow, an uncanny reflection of his physical self, was alive in the circuitry of TikTok. This digital portal enabled him to maintain a connection with the living, an e-link to the world he was forced to leave behind. Out of his deep-seated affection for me, Jason established this account as a communication bridge, keeping our bond alive from the ethereal realm. He set it up as a window into our past, a digital diary that held our memories and his hopes for my future. Even after his passing, Jason's love continued to exist in the form of these messages. He wanted me to remember our love, our shared past, but not stay stuck in it. He hoped for me to heal, find happiness, and companionship again. The account was like an oasis, a comforting virtual space, but over time the affection evolved, darkened. Our digital refuge, a place of peace, turned into a haunting specter. His messages changed, became threatening. His love once comforting, now eerie. The account, our digital oasis, turned into a horrifying phantom that cast a dark shadow over my life. His comforting digital presence on TikTok evolved into a horrific spectral avatar, its shadow permeating my life. I was thrust into a horrific reality where the lines between the living and the dead blurred, turning my TikTok account into a sanity battleground. Suddenly, my ordinary social media presence was immersed in an uncanny blend of love, obsession, and paranormal activity. Each interaction was no longer a delightful diversion, but a terrifying ordeal, his eerie attempts to communicate from beyond the grave unsettling my equilibrium. Jason, who I once loved, was now a source of fear and dread. The comforting TikTok chime, the familiar notification sound, was no longer a pleasant call for attention, but a heart-dropping alert. Each buzz, each ping, turned my blood to ice, transforming my world into a haunting reality. My phone, once a source of entertainment, was now a harbinger of the macabre. The experience was a chilling reminder of the thin line that separates our world from the mysterious unknown. Every notification, each message, infused me with trepidation, the once familiar TikTok notification sound now echoing hauntingly in my solitary existence. In the chilling world of the paranormal, I found myself swept up in a vortex of emotions, torn between the affection for Jason and the fear of the inexplicable. I stumbled upon a bizarre TikTok account, uploaded with videos featuring my deceased husband. The footage was unsettling, and the messages, mysteriously cryptic, sending waves of terror coursing through me. This bizarre digital interaction made reality dubious, hinting at the idea of the departed communicating through the medium of technology. The experience unfolds as a tale of a progressive era paradoxically shrouded in darkness, where the line demarcating the living and the non-living is blurred and porous. It was a chilling exhibit of the technological era, where the boundary between the real and the surreal is not as distinct as we often believe. In the end, my story serves as a bone-chilling reminder of the dark side of technology, where even the dead can haunt you. In the end, I had to make a choice. I decided to confront the digital ghost that had been haunting me. With a heavy heart and trembling fingers, I typed out a message to the TikTok account. "Jason," I began, my words echoing in the eerie silence of my room. "I loved you, I will always love you, but I need to move on. I need to live." I hit send, my heart pounding against my chest. Then an unsettling quietude ensued. I waited with bated breath, every passing second stretching into an eternity. And then, just like that, the haunting ended. The account ceased its activity. The digital ghost of Jason was no more. I was left alone in the digital landscape, the eerie echoes of the past fading into the abyss of the internet. But the memory of Jason and his love will always remain. The digital paradox had trapped me in a terrifying truth, but it had also shown me a way to release. In the end, I was able to move forward, carrying the love and the terror, the reality and the surreal, the life and the death into my future. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, click here to watch more now. Like, comment, and subscribe before it's too late for you too. Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Please understand this is horror that could happen to anyone. Please be carefully on dating apps. Hi, name is Katie, and you won't believe this scary story. An unexpected email popped into my inbox. The sender. A name that warmed my heart, Michael. An invitation was extended to me, a plea to join him in London, the city that always played the central role in my daydreams. The anticipation that stirred within me was electrifying. I was finally going to see the city I'd always dreamed of, and in the company of an old friend, Michael. I reveled the thought of rekindling our friendship, a thought that brought an involuntary smile to my face. Before I knew it, I was on a plane to London, my heart pounding with excitement. Upon my arrival, I navigated my way through Chelsea to the upscale apartment where Michael resided. I was received with a warm hug that brought a comforting familiarity. Little did I know, hiding behind this familiar face was a stranger, a threat I was completely unaware of. I was with the Tinder killer. Unbeknownst to me, pure and unsuspecting, my old companion Michael had undergone a dreadful transformation. I was blissfully unaware that the city of my dreams, London, was now the stage of a terrible secret connected to my dear friend. Michael had become entangled in the sinister cult, the Satanic Seekers, who had twisted his once gentle heart into something unrecognizable, with murder on his mind. This transformation had set him off on a horrifying of blood and fear. Oblivious in my innocence, I couldn't see the predator that Michael had become, lurking in the shadows. He was no longer just my old university friend, but a dangerous weapon, a murderer, prowling the digital world of Tinder in search of unsuspecting victims. His method was as simple as it was cunning. He would charm, entrap, and then, under the cloak of darkness, strike. Tinder, an app once synonymous with love, had become ground. Michael was a wolf in sheep's clothing, his icy, hollow gaze hiding the horrible acts he had committed, his appealing exterior fooling everyone who his path. And I, with my naive trust and bright smile, was his latest. My sheer joy at reconnecting with an old friend had blinded me to the reality beneath his. I saw only the Michael I once knew, the friend who had shared laughter and dreams with me during our university days. How I have possibly comprehended that this friend of mine had morphed into a monster, his soul swallowed by a darkness so deep it could freeze the blood? His charm was now a deadly weapon, his smile a fatal trap. His eyes, once warm and inviting, were now icy and empty, concealing the unspeakable acts he had committed. No one, not even I, could see the demon lurking behind his facade. His victims were unsuspecting, drawn into his trap by his charisma, meeting their end without a monster hid behind his affable facade, shielded from the world. I was yet to unearth the shivering truth about my old companion. Days would go by, the hidden darkness would slowly start to unveil itself, climaxing in a horrifying revelation that would turn my dream vacation into a waking nightmare. As the sun bid adieu to London's skyline on my inaugural day, my initial enthusiasm gave way to a bone-chilling dread. Michael's flat, which used to be my sanctuary from the city's hustle and bustle, had transformed into an enigma teeming with strange symbols and drawings. These cryptograms were everywhere, engraved on the walls, scribbled on strewn-about papers, and even inked onto Michael's skin. The sight of them sent a cold shudder down my spine, my heart thundering like a drum run wild. These unfamiliar symbols were peculiar, yet ominously portentous. The images felt like a snake silently encircling and suffocating my secure feelings. The presence of Michael, once my old friend, was now an unfamiliar entity, his peculiar demeanor amplifying my growing discomfort. With fervor in his eyes, he spoke of odd rituals, his words a spectral melody reverberating in the quietude of the apartment. His intensity for these strange practices was unsettling, our discourse into a chilling symphony of apprehension. I found myself confined in an alien land with a man who was virtually a stranger. The once exhilarating seclusion of Chelsea now felt claustrophobic. The once radiant city had dulled in my view, turning into a sinister canvas for my escalating fear. The quaint streets I had once admired now seemed like a maze devised to hold me captive. The apartment, with its towering walls and locked doors, felt like a jail cell. The once welcoming space had mutated into a frosty cage. Homesickness and fear gnawed at my heart, my mind abuzz with nightmarish possibilities. Every groan of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, every muffled city noise seemed a warning. In spite of the fear gnawing at my sanity, I knew I must stay vigilant. I had to unravel the mystery behind Michael's dangerous obsession and the cryptic symbols to survive. My days were fraught with nervousness, my nights with sheer terror, as I traversed this daunting labyrinth of uncertainty. The walls of Michael's apartment were closing in, weaving a web of fear around me. I found myself on the brink of a chilling revelation, my pulse throbbing in my chest, echoing the frantic fluttering of a bird clamoring for release. My reality became a waking nightmare from which I couldn't extricate myself. I looked around, my eyes wide with horrific realization, the strange symbols and markings on the walls taking a sinister turn. What was once the comfort of my warm apartment now felt in an uncanny darkness that seemed to seep out of the walls themselves. The atmosphere was dense, almost stifling, as if saturated with the silent tales of unspeakable horrors. As I flipped through the pages of Michael's diary that I stumbled upon, the contents sent an icy chill running down my spine, each entry terrifying narrative of his heinous deeds. The diary was filled with stories of unsuspecting prey lured into their doom, their final moments filled with fear at the hands of a man they once trusted. Each name, each face, was a grim testament to Michael's transformation into the dreaded Tinder killer. The realization crashed over me with the force of a careening freight train. Michael, friend, was a monster. His congenial exterior was nothing more than a deceitful cover, disguising the darkness that him. I was ensnared in a foreign land in the grip of a ruthless murderer. An overwhelming wave of panic surged through me, a raw, instinctual fear that threatened to consume me. Alone, defenseless, in severe danger, my mind whirled with anxious thoughts as I grappled with my newfound reality. Each frantic heartbeat served as a chilling reminder of the impending danger. Will I survive? I needed to break to escape this terrifying nightmare. But how? Where I possibly go? The familiar of the apartment had now morphed into a petrifying prison. Every seemed to harbor a hidden terror, every noise a menacing echo in the darkness. The walls seemed to constrict around me, the darkness closing in. I was trapped, and only route to salvation lay through the enveloping darkness. I found myself teetering on the precipice of mortality, my life hanging in the balance. Yet within me surged a resolute drive to survive, dwarfing the fear that threatened me. Michael's once comforting abode, now transmuted into an icy cage, became the arena in which I waged my battle against time and an unknown fate. It was a perilous game of deception and subterfuge, with my life as the coveted prize. In spite my precarious situation, I set about devising my route to freedom. I communicated in a language of veiled signs and coded pleas to my family, hoping they would unravel my desperate cry for aid. Determined to leave no stone unturned, I also reached out to law enforcement, providing them with clues that might lead them to my prison. However, as the labyrinth to freedom grew more intricate, I noticed a wary shift in Michael's demeanor. His once affectionate gaze now held an icy determination, scrutinizing my every move and analyzing my every word. An oppressive tension began to seep into the apartment, an unspoken yet deafening affirmation of the looming threat. The once innocuous symbols scattered around the apartment now to glare at me, etching a permanent image of the beast Michael had morphed into. His watchful eyes followed me relentlessly, suspicion with each passing moment. I knew I had to be astute, maintaining an air of unpredictability keep him guessing. I feigned ignorance to his dark transformation, while meticulously planning my daring escape. My existence became a daily struggle for survival within the belly of the beast. Desperate for freedom, I embraced the shroud of the night, praying for deliverance. I knew I couldn't afford glance back, each beat of my heart propelling me through the labyrinthine streets of Chelsea. Each step I took echoed my resolve, distancing me from my horrifying past and inching me closer to the freedom I longed for. Finally cornered, I found myself in the ultimate fight for survival. The once comforting face of Michael, my once ally, now twisted into an unrecognizable mask of evil, chasing me through the labyrinthine streets of London. Fear surged through my veins like a rush of adrenaline, but survival was my only goal. I mustered every last bit of courage and cunning to outwit Michael, my mind racing far beyond the pounding of my heart. Each abrupt turn I made echoed with the increasingly distant, terrifying sound of Michael's footfalls. The horrifying cat and mouse chase reached its climax as the eerie cry of police sirens ripped through the night. As the flicker of blue lights started to glow from afar, a spark of hope ignited within me. The heart-stopping chase ended with the arrival of the police, their gleaming handcuffs a symphony of victory to my ears. Panting but undefeated, I watched my nightmarish reality unraveling before me. The terror beyond comprehension, I had come out on top, forever marked by my horrifying encounter with the Tinder killer. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, click here to watch now. Like, comment, and subscribe before it's too late for you too. Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Have you ever pondered about what happens to the souls of those who meet an untimely end? Let me share with you a spine-chilling personal anecdote about an unexpected discovery I made. You see, I'm not your run-of-the-mill photographer. I have this peculiar fascination for the eerie, the mysterious, the uncharted. I find joy in capturing the unseen, the forgotten, the deserted. Once, on a day that would prove to be fateful, I found something that piqued my peculiar interest in a long-abandoned house. It was an old, dusty photo album, disregarded by time, tucked away in the shadowy corners of a damp attic. The album was leather-bound, worn, and its pages brittle with age. As I gingerly turned the fragile pages, I found myself engrossed in a bygone world, a world suspended in time. It was filled with black and white photographs of people, their faces carved with a myriad of emotions. Some were smiling, others deep in thought. A few even sported the unmistakable signs of fear or sorrow. They were people from a different time, their stories unheard, their lives abruptly cut short. I couldn't help but feel a strange connection to these long-gone souls, their lives encapsulated within the album. I was intrigued, entranced by the silent tales that each photo held. I wondered about their identities, their stories, their secrets. I found myself imagining their lives, their dreams, their joys, and their grief. However, as I deeper into the album, an eerie chill ran down my spine. There was something odd, something disconcerting about the album. It was more than just a collection of photographs. It opened a gateway, a portal to a world uncharted, a world that teetered on the thin line between the living and the dead. Little did I know this seemingly innocent album was hiding a secret as dark as the night itself. What would you do if the dead started talking to you? As the night slipped away, I began to sense an eerie change sweeping through my photo album. The images, once static, seemed to breathe, their subjects no longer trapped in the stillness of time, but moving, whispering, crying out from the glossy pages. Each photograph was a door that opened to a different world, a different time, a different life, and death. In haunting solitude of my darkroom, I could almost hear the whispers of these apparitions. An old woman in a faded wedding dress, her eyes brimming with decades of regret. A young man, his face contorted in fear, captured in the last moments of his life. A little girl, her innocence eternally stolen, reaching out from the photograph, begging for help. Each ghostly figure had a narrative to share, a narrative of their premature end. Initially, I was terrified, frozen by the sheer terror of it all. But as the nights passed, I found myself captivated by these ghostly figures, their stories, their lives, and their unjust deaths. I realized that this wasn't just a photo album. It was a haunted chronicle, a spectral record of lives abruptly ended, of spirits demanding justice for their murders. The old woman, I discovered, had been poisoned on her wedding night. The young man had been betrayed by his best friend. The little girl had been robbed by the merciless hands of time and neglect. Each photo, each spirit, carried a story of injustice, a plea for vengeance. I feel the weight of their stories, their pleas for justice, piercing my heart. I knew I couldn't just disregard them. These spirits, confined within the pages of the photo album, were reaching out to me, imploring for my aid. They needed me to bring their stories into the open, to seek justice for their ill-timed deaths. So, just like that, I found myself entwined in the spectral threads of the dead, their lives, and their unjust ends. What happens when the spirits of the deceased demand justice, and I'm their only hope? In the eerie silence, the spirits began to reveal a sinister agenda, one that sent shivers down my spine and made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. These were not random souls caught on film. No, they were victims. Victims of the same ruthless murderer, their lives brutally snuffed out, their stories buried under a veil of deceit and influence. Photograph, each haunting visage, was a testament to a life cut short. The spirits were bound to the album, their cries for justice echoing in the stillness of the room. They were trapped, unable to rest, their stories untold, their murderer still at large. These spirits, these victims, they were not just seeking solace, they were seeking justice. The powerful and influential had concealed their deaths, their gruesome ends swept under the rug of society's apathy. Their murderer, cloaked in power and privilege, walked free, unpunished for his heinous deeds. Their pleas were desperate, their stories tragic. They reached out to me, imploring me to be their voice, their beacon of hope in the darkness that had shrouded their existence. They needed me to uncover the truth, to expose the murderer who had taken their lives and hidden behind his power and influence. I felt a chill run down my spine as the gravity of their pleas hit me. I was their last hope, their only chance at justice. I was the link between their world and ours, between the silence of the grave and the clamor of the living. The spirits were not asking for revenge, they were asking for justice. And I, feeling the weight of their pleas, knew I couldn't turn my back on them. I had to help. I had to bring the truth to light, to expose the murderer and bring him to justice. The dead were crying out for justice, and I was their only beacon of hope. Would I risk my own life to right the wrongs of the past? In the deepest recesses of darkness, I found myself grappling with this question. The haunted photo album wasn't just an eerie novelty to me, it was a chilling tale of power, corruption, and murder. A tale that reached out from beyond the grave, seeking justice, seeking resolution. The spirits captured within the photos were not mere apparitions of the deceased, they were victims. Victims of a cruel, callous hand that had snuffed out their lives, their spirits forever trapped within the confines of the album. Each photo was a testament to the lives they once lived, the dreams they once had, and the horrors they had endured. The more I delved into this mystery, the more I realized the magnitude of the corruption. It was a web, intricately spun, reaching out into the highest echelons of power. The perpetrators of these heinous crimes were still out there, their sins buried deep within the shadows of past. But I wasn't one to back down. I knew I had to bring this truth to light, to expose the malevolence that had remained hidden for far too long. The spirits within the photos yearned for peace, for their stories to be told. And I was determined to be their voice. Each night, I found myself drawn to the album, the spirits whispering their tales to me, guiding me, giving me the strength to uncover the truth. I knew the risks. I knew I was putting my own life on the line. But for me, the pursuit of justice outweighed the fear of retribution. The haunted album was more than just a collection of photos. It was a symbol of the past's horrors, a chilling reminder of the lengths some would go to cover their sins. Yet it was also a beacon of hope, a testament to the indomitable spirit of one woman who dared to stand against the tide of corruption. And so, the haunted album served as a chilling reminder of the past's horrors and the lengths some would go to cover their sins. How far would I go to give peace to the restless spirits? Driven by a resolve as steadfast as the shutter of my camera, I reveal the murderer's gruesome acts. Justice isn't blind, not tonight. The spirits, once confined in the spectral bounds of this album, find their long-anticipated solace, their haunting images slowly fading away. The album, now just a collection of empty frames, lies in quiet stillness. But remember, every photograph tells a story, and some stories are better left untold. For more horror stories from Devil's Diary TV, click here to watch now. Like, comment, and subscribe before it's too late for you too.